the show!
Like vampires, we welcome you into our homes here at Cordkillers, where our mission is to report intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so that you, my friends, can watch what you want, when you want, where you want, on whatever device you want. Me, I'm Tom Merritt. Him? I don't know. Ask him.
I'm Brian Brushwood, and I'll have you know when we talk about like vampires, we mean that you're the vampires that we're inviting you into our house. You blood suckers. You feed on all of our energy, our creative enthusiasm. What are you doing?
No, we do it on purpose, Brian. We love it. We're like the people at Fangtasia.
That's correct. Hey, but I'll tell you one person who is a boundless source of creative energy who we're thrilled to have back on the show is Cosmic Radio TV's own Roberto Villegas. Vincent 404 in the chat.
Hey, everybody.
Dude, thanks so much for coming back again.
Dude, thanks for inviting me again. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely.
It's always good to have Roberto in the house, especially because he does great podcasts, and we are better when we have him here.
Thank you, Tom, for that.
That really almost sounded like you were going to go a very different place. Like, we are better than him.
You are.
I don't know where I was going to go with that. But you know what? Before we get to our primary target, there was some sad news today coming out of the Rooster Teeth team. Monty Oum of Rooster Teeth passed away. Roberto, I know you particularly wanted to talk about this.
Yeah, because last time I was on, I really sung the praises of a little animated show online called Ruby, RWBY, and the main creator of that was Monty Oum. And it's super tragic what happened because it's so interesting because I was thinking back as I was driving here, like when it was I kind of got wise to Monty and all the stuff he did. And it was when I started going back to Red versus Blue, and I'm watching, I think when I was kind of catching up in seasons, I see all this crazy animation. And I apologize if I'm going to curse, but I was like, what the fuck is this? This is amazing. And it was this guy, Monty Oum, that had kind of come into Rooster Teeth and started really changing the whole landscape of machinima there and making just all this amazing things. And a whole freak accident happened, and he's now gone. And he's roughly my age. He's like 33. I'm 32, and it's kind of crazy. I know you guys aren't the biggest
reaction, right?
Yeah, and I know you guys aren't
procedure.
And I know you guys aren't like Rooster Teeth fans. I know that.
Well, hold on. I mean, it's if we are, it's only for a lack of bandwidth.
No, right. That's what I'm saying.
Everything I've seen from Rooster Teeth, I absolutely adore, and it doesn't matter. You know, it's like it's sort of like you know, we're all in the same high school together. Whether or not we took classes. In the same
and that's
place.
sort of what I feel is that like. You know, that because the community is completely and utterly devastated. Pretty much everybody I know, like my sort of cohort in one of my shows, Matthew Fraser, are both huge Rooster Teeth fans. And he texted me this morning, he was just like, fuck. And,
was there anything that the Rooster Teeth folks were asking people to do? You know, like sometimes they say, you know, donate.
So they had a really cool thing, and they had a medical fund earlier before the whole passing, but they had a really cool thing they said in their post. It was what Matt Hullum, the CEO of Rooster Teeth, had said. In lieu of flowers, in lieu of you know, all that kind of stuff. Just do something creative, something to kind of spark the world, something that Monty would have appreciated. Because, like, if you've ever watched Ruby or anything like that, Monty was probably the most creative person as a equal kind of creative guy. He's someone I tend to look to for inspiration and things like that. And it was very touching to see. There's been nothing but outcry and everything else. So ultimately, just do something amazing.
Yeah, Gambling Man points out if you're watching live, there'll be a special live stream from Rooster Teeth in about an hour on YouTube.
Oh, good to hear. That's good.
So
I'll probably catch it later.
So that'll probably be archived too if you miss it.
Yeah,
listen to this later
because it is a tragedy for sure.
Well, this is about as creative as we get. We'll do our best in Monty Oum's memory to be at the top of our game today.
That's all we can ask.
Heck yeah, that means we should jump in and check out the primary target, if I'm not mistaken, sir.
So, Gigaom had a really interesting article about the PlayStation View service. They've been beta testing it, a very private beta. It's hard to get an invite in. But one of them broke his NDA or her NDA and shared some details and some pictures with Gigaom. They have way more channels than Sling TV does.
Yeah, they happen to have a channel I think that you're familiar with. National Geographic looks like it's on the package.
That's the only one I cared about. Along with that,
it looks like they've got channels from CBS Incorporated, the Turner Networks, the Scripps channels like Food and HGTV, NBC Networks, Fox Networks like National Geographic, Discovery Networks, and Viacom. From what I'm looking at, I mean, they don't have every network from all those companies, but the only network they have nothing from is ABC Disney. So that means no Disney Channel, no ESPN. And that's one thing that Sling TV does have.
That's a huge one. Of course, Sling TV has positioned itself as possibly the out of the savior to people who have been holding on to their cable because they watch sports, and of course ESPN is the center of the universe on that. There are some sports channels. You got Fox
they
Sports,
have Fox Sports. They have College Sports Network from CBS. They have a bunch of the sports networks from the other places, just not ESPN.
Yeah, one of the commentaries in this Gigaom article was like some of the channels are so obscure to kind of fill out the roster that the guy had to actually Google them to find out what the heck they were. I guess really just is it just the Disney branch as best you could tell looking
from what I can tell? I found all the other big ones, and there's some independent channels out there like Reels, Sundance. I think it might be an indie, but for the most part, what I don't see is AMC.
AMC or IFC, I don't see.
Yeah,
on
and
there.
I think IFC is part of the AMC group.
Yeah.
I don't see A&E, I don't see AMC, and I don't see any of the ABC Disney.
I think
ones.
is Comedy Central. I think Comedy Central is on the list.
Viacom's in there. Viacom's got a bunch of channels in there.
So far,
all the MTVs you could want.
So far, this package. I mean, I know the cost is like 60 to 80, which I think
we don't know what the cost is. That was an estimation
right.
from Gigo, but we have these guys are using it for free right now.
Okay,
so
that's what was certain. In the article is like that. That's the guess. It's steep, but honestly, and again, this is coming from a guy that doesn't really watch sports, or the sports he watches are on NBCSN anyway, so it doesn't really ever seem to come into any of these packages. I mean, I like Discovery, I like Comedy Central, and I would love to have National Geographic, although that cost, if that's going to be the final cost, is a little steeper than I'd like to pay for those
I'm
channels.
looking at this now, and I'm starting to see this stack up against Sling TV, and I think they're hitting two different markets. I was very lucky in that Josh Quigley, one of our bosses, sent us a Sling TV invite that I was able to activate today. It was very gracious, Brian, of you to let me take that, by the way.
No, it was very gracious of you to just do it without asking me because you knew I would be too busy to do it on my own. That was very good of you. Thank you, Tom.
So I launched it up today, and I was able to install it. You had to call to install it, which is just a beta thing. They say if you don't want to call to install it, wait for it to launch to everybody. Then I was able to download the app for my desktop. You can't watch it in the web browser, which I was confused about that before. You can, and then I got the Android app working. I got the iOS app working. They all work great. This is the thing that will take away one of the objections my wife has, which is I just want to put on some mindless television. We talked about that before, but it was really interesting to be like, hey, there's HGTV, and not only can I watch the current episode, but I can go start over from the beginning if I want, and I can watch 3 or 4 of the previous episodes from the past hours because some of the apps do have like a 3-hour backup. You can also go in on demand on some of the channels. You can't do that with ESPN yet, whereas the View seems to be all about being a normal cable service. Everything has 3-hour catch-up if you missed something. In fact, everything has 3-day catch-up.
the cloud DVR.
You can record
function.
things to a cloud DVR for 28 days. You can add any show to my shows. It is more of like, hey, if you've got Comcast or Time Warner and you've got a PlayStation 4, you might as well just do this instead.
Yeah, here's 2 things really stuck out at me. Number one is I like very much the polished rethinking of the guide. Instead of, picture your normal channel guide, you got your channels on the left, you got time on the right, and you scroll infinitely through all the different channels. PlayStation is very good at polished interfaces, and I got to think that they're making some smart moves. If you scroll down, Bryce, you'll see the screen grab of it. They've got this kind of pivoted, the channels are on top, and it scrolls down. Now, what we see in this photo is, they're all arranged according to channel number, which I strongly suspect is an antiquated and outdated way to bother to do this at all. Maybe that's how it defaults. It wouldn't surprise me at all if PlayStation starts to pay attention to which channels you actually watch, and then very quickly your screen is only occupied with these 6 to 10 channels that you ever bother to go to. The second thing is, even though it's just an estimate of $60 to $80, and of course the reason for that estimate is getting Viacom on board doesn't come cheap, and it does put it closer to cable numbers. But what was interesting is just having any number caused a visceral reaction in me, thinking like, wouldn't do it. Like that's like the moment I heard 60 to 80. I mean, the PlayStation 4 is the only next generation console that I have right now, and I wouldn't sign up for this. I would rather stick with Uverse cable, because the AT&T Uverse interface has really impressed me, as has the service of AT&T. I can't believe I'm saying those words.
Well, I want to be very clear with people that the $60 to $80 number was made up by Janko Reckers at GigaOhm, because he said with all these channels in here, they would have to charge that in order to make any money off this. We don't know what they're going to charge. Sony could decide, I'm not saying they will, they could decide to keep this really cheap as a way to induce people to buy a PlayStation 4 and still make money off the games. We don't know.
Or think about this, they could even subsidize this in an effort to get people to sign up for, what's the premium
PlayStation Plus.
PlayStation Plus. Yeah. I mean, that could be the kind of thing. Imagine that turning the whole cell phone idea on its head.
Well, let's add another wrinkle into it. I know it's only for PS4 now, but we have to keep in mind that these are the guys that own the Vita as a kind of mobile platform, as this very beautiful screen kind of mobile experience.
Yeah, but how many Vitas are out there?
There's a lot now, especially because of things like the mobile play and things like that. The ability, for example, I know that a lot of people talked about playing just Destiny on their Vita is like insane, because they can play it by remoting into their PlayStation 4.
Does the Vita, once you leave the house,
yes,
though, so is it's got like a cellular connection?
Yeah, there's a lot
able to stream.
I think there's cellular on them. If not, you have I think so.
I'll take a look at this. Yeah.
But the point is, even to having that as a Wi-Fi thing is still a cool concept, and the idea for it. Because honestly, so far the channels on the View are the ones that I want to watch. I still don't know if it's worth 60 to 80. I know that's, again, a made-up number. That's just me as a person. If I saw the number, I'd kind of shy away. But comparing it to the Sling, I'm already seeing channels I want to watch, and that's
as far as Vita outside of the house, I'm only seeing people wishing for LTE. Wait, PS4 to PS Vita remote play over LTE. I've seen some hacks where people have made it work, but
all right.
And also, PlayStation View is supposed to work on the PS3 as well as the PS4. I don't know if it makes any difference, but
well, no, that does, because I'm saying, like, even if it's a native app, even if you had a native app on the Vita, that adds an interesting wrinkle, and adds an interesting concept to being in the Sony landscape, in the Sony world, that if you have already a PlayStation 4, here's now a Vita that has the applications for television. It kind of adds a bit more, because even with the PlayStation Plus, you can get like Vita games, things like that as well.
I just realized this is some next level speculation. This is looking at speculation.
Oh yeah, this is next
speculating level. On the speculation.
Well, because ultimately we haven't seen it yet. It's not released yet, and Sling is the only one we know.
All right, well let's
out.
dial it back from our wishes to the wishes
right.
of the folks that we see. Are there any other details that we should really? I mean, I'll tell you, it looks very pretty, and if it's the kind of thing that can, especially, I'll tell you what, man, my favorite feature of my Fire Stick is that silly voice search, and I know that you could do voice dictation onto the using the individual controller on the PS4. If it's the kind of thing where my kids can find everything they want and I can find everything I want, this could be that solution that we're looking for.
Yeah, and go back to what I said before is I think these are targeting, Sling TV and PlayStation View are targeting two different markets, because as you mentioned, Brian, they're still showing channel numbers. They've got a guide that's turned on its side, but the TiVo interface does that now as well. So it's very much like, here's a familiar interface, here are familiar channels, here's a familiar package, right? Sling TV, on the other hand, no channel numbers. It's a ribbon of channels along the bottom, right? And you just click on whatever channel you want to watch. You can narrow them down by the type of channel. Just show me the sports channels. Just show me the news channels. And when you go into an episode, it'll be like, oh, and here are the previous episodes you can access if you want to access those. Also, PlayStation View has that My Shows interface, so you don't even have to go into the channel selector. You can go into just like, I like these shows and this is what I'm going to watch. So even though it's got the more familiar interface for you on the front end, you can start to use it the way we would naturally use it. And I think both of these, Sling TV and PlayStation View, are taking different routes to getting the user comfortable with, you don't need channel numbers, you don't need guides, you just need to know what you want to watch, and we'll help you do that.
Yeah, on the Sling TV, I'm really surprised to hear that that you can't watch through a browser. I don't know why, but as much as we've reported on the Sling TV, it was obvious to me that it would be much like Slingbox, something you'd be able to watch in a browser, and especially for me, somebody who consumes 90% of all the video entertainment that I get, I watch in my office, in my comfortable chair with my 37-inch screen in front of me. To hear that that's not going to be an option with Sling TV kind of immediately made it a deal killer for me.
Well, why is that? Because, I mean, I'm signing into it right now. If I told myself this is a browser window, I wouldn't know the difference. It's just an app, and it's on my desktop, and it's like you were watching it in a browser window.
I mean, I guess not. I guess, I mean, is it resizable the way it is with Netflix or...
It's exactly like any other. It's exactly like a browser window. It just is. It's
just within its own app. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
well, then I rescind all of my megrims.
Okay.
See, the deal breaker for me would be if there's not a Mac app. That would be the make or break thing. If
there is a
not an
Mac app.
Okay, then that would be. I wasn't certain about.
I'm killing all the deal breakers.
There you go. You're just making it easier, Tom.
Welcome to Deal Breaker Killers.
Hold on,
with
I'm
Tom.
watching Virginia versus North Carolina suddenly. Like it. That's the other weird thing is it takes you to ESPN every time you launch it. I don't know if that's just random for me. But I'm like, I don't want that. That's not really what I want to do.
Yeah. Well, right on, dude. That's great, actually. Then I don't know though. I'll tell you what having an app does is that it makes it less of an impulse decision to watch television. If it's in a browser, I can't think of how many times I work in the browser. I live in the browser. Almost 90% of everything I do. If it's not a video game, it happens in the browser. And then it's very easy to just type. I just get as far as the letter N, and then autofills Netflix, and then I hit enter, or I hit A, and it autofills Amazon, and I hit.
I feel like that's I feel like it's stupid of them not to make a browser version, frankly, like
yes.
because it knocks that out. But if you really want to watch Sling TV, you'll create a shortcut on your desktop. And you'll take it out of the taskbar all the time anyway, so it'll be even easier.
Tom, I'm so sorry for the video listener, the video watchers. You already know what we were giggling at. Audio listeners, Tom had the most epic Skype hiccup face I'd ever seen.
Yeah, it was the smug, like, I know what I'm talking about, Brian. Shut the heck up.
It was amazing. It was truly amazing. You might need to. There we go. Your video's back now.
It was amazing.
Man, I want that to be a Twitter avatar. Hey, man, we also want to take a moment to thank all the fine folks who make this programming loud, live, and independent. It's patreon.com/Cordkillers. We are allegedly over 2,000 patrons right now. We're going to have to go through and make sure that the credit cards are up to date. So my guess is
that number will go down.
Yeah.
I just tell people in DTNS, like every month, that number is going to go down once because cards numbers change and people forget to update them. It's just one of those things.
Correct. But
that's why I use PayPal.
You guys are making that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Plus, also, when you run out of money in PayPal, you stop paying us. Unlike the credit card where we keep charging you.
Be sure to link that PayPal to it.
That's why I link it to my credit card and bank account. You lose none of my money.
Thank you to everybody who's made our dreams possible. We are now 1 year into this fantastic experiment, and it's been literally life-changing for both Tom and I. Can't thank you guys enough.
Yeah, you are the wind beneath my wings, literally. Like
that's not a figure of speech. He has actual wings,
and you are
he
actually
flies.
wind.
You are air molecules being blown underneath him.
That doesn't sound very good. Let's move to Signals Intelligence.
All right, you got it.
So Signals Intelligence is the segment about services that allow you to watch your shows. So we talk a lot about Netflix, almost too much about Netflix, or Hulu, or Amazon. What about Snapchat, my friends? 2 shows available on Snapchat. Now, these are web shows, is what we would think of them as. In other words, they're around 5 minutes. One is produced and written and starring Sasha Spielberg and Emily Goldwyn, the daughters of Steven Spielberg and John Goldwyn, the film producers. It posts on Saturdays, and because it's on Snapchat, if you don't watch it on Saturday, it disappears after 24 hours. There's also Snapper Hero, which will have 12 episodes coming soon, sponsored by AT&T, produced by Fullscreen, and it will star Freddie Wong, Harley Morenstein of Epic Mealtime, Snapchat star Sean Shonduras McBride, and it will be about superheroes somehow.
Yeah, okay, so part of the reason I pushed for us to discuss this is because this is a nutty pair of stories. I don't think we've seen anything like this. First of all, let's talk about the Snapchat. Literally can't even like the
That's
idea.
the Spielberg and Goldwyn one.
Correct. This seems to be again, we don't know much about the format or the content, but we do know that it is ostensibly a produced show of 5 minutes long, like a YouTube kind of show that they yank the cord out of 24 hours. Like outside of feeling very Snapchatty, it seems to me like this just highlights the one bummer aspect of Snapchat, which is that everything's ephemeral. And it's like, we say we want our television to be ephemeral, like magazines or whatever, like the news, but we also want them archived so that we can go back and find this outrageous moment.
Well, because because the thing is, it takes about a day for you to catch up with people that watch something. It's like, oh, hey, did you see that thing on Snapchat? Oh, I'm sorry, bro, you can't see it ananymore. It's gone forever.
Exactly. It's like it's a throwback. It's a retro throwback to the worst part of the 1980s.
Yeah, exactly.
The one part of or the 1960s that we all hated.
You should have been there, bro.
Yeah, it's like, well, I could describe it for you.
Exactly.
And that's really all you're gonna get. That's strange to me. And even weirder is this Snapper Hero thing, because this is not this is, I assume, going to be content that's on the Snapchat platform. But these are people like Freddie Wong and Harley Morenstein being paid by AT&T to make content that is going to feel like home movies that will be shown on Snapchat. So Snapchat isn't even making money from this. It's AT&T bought an ad and is playing it on Snapchat.
Wait,
and
I think Snapchat's making money from this.
Well, no, Snapchat's in the article it says that they're not, and that Snapchat's guarded statement was, "We are excited to see so many people moving to the Snapchat platform."
They're just excited to have everyone launch the app and utilize it.
Well, okay, so is this part of the Discover tab on Snapchat is the new thing, and
here's what it says: Snapchat declined to comment on the project, but if they were candid, they'd. Oh, it's a fake quote. Oh my God, I've never seen this. The article has a fake made up quote. It says, but if they were candid, they'd say something along the lines of, quote, "We're psyched to see big dollar advertisers using our stuff as a free platform, just like they did with Facebook and Twitter. That's pretty awesome validation."
Okay, now we're just going to go down a spiral of talking about journalism on the internet.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Essentially, if I can back us up a little bit from doing that, Snapchat declined to comment on the project. This is like somebody on Twitter doing something on Twitter.
Correct.
Like AT&T saying, you know what, we're gonna post videos on Twitter, and we've paid all these people to do it because we think we can sell stuff. I don't think that's a bad thing, and so somebody's using Snapchat that way as well.
Well, no, it's certainly not a bad thing, not at all. It's just a very new thing for this platform. I mean, you wouldn't see this you wouldn't see a novel come to SMS. Like SMS is now delivering novels, 140 characters at a time.
Snapchat is becoming very Twitter-like. It reminds me of Twitter circa 2007, 2008, where a lot of people are using it in a way it wasn't intentionally designed for at first.
Right.
And Snapchat's just sort of letting it happen to see what goes. I think that Discover tab, which is where the Literally Can't Even show is going to show up on the actual Snapchat channel on Discover, is a reaction to like, hey, people are actually using this for content. People are turning into content shares. There is a Snapchat star, right? So I guess AT&T coming in is like making paid videos on YouTube or paid posts on Twitter.
See, that's my only concern, is that because it's AT&T, like I'd hope that stuff will end up getting archived somewhere, only because it's AT&T, and if you paid for something as much as you're probably paying Freddie Wong and full screen, you might as well archive that and save it and get as much money exposure as you can.
Yeah, if they are distributing it on Snapchat as a Snapchat thing, but I guarantee you, if AT&T's footing the bill, they're going to keep it somewhere and show it somewhere. However, the Snapchat show, I think that's part of their ethos.
Oh no, that's going to be ephemeral.
It's got to be
like, that's the one I don't know how.
That's their brand.
I'm curious creatively how that'll work out and how much traction it'll have. And I'm also curious to see if anybody will figure out a way to archive that off without, and really break Snapchat's illusion of everything is ephemeral, everything goes away in 24 hours.
Well, and that's the problem is in order to break that illusion, you're going to have to do it outside of Snapchat where it's like, see it forever. I posted it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's like that. I don't know. This seems like a very mixy kind of angle.
Have you guys
strange.
used the Discover tab on Snapchat yet?
No.
I honestly rarely use Snapchat. I mean, I like the concept. I think it's a cool app. I have no one on there.
I think this explains the differing reactions. You guys are looking at it like, why would you put it on Snapchat and have it go away? The Discover tab is essentially that every day. Like the Snapchat channel is not just the show. The Snapchat channel has all kinds of videos and all kinds of stories. And then the next day it's all new. And the idea is that you're not tuning in to find the show. You're looking at the Snapchat channel every day, and look, it's Saturday, so I'm getting this cool little series here. That's kind of nifty. There's no reason they might not archive it later once it's done, but it's like a novel being serialized in a magazine, and then later it's published as a book.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense because I don't see anybody. I mean, not because Snapchat could not be a good video platform. It could be, and I guess that's how I view web video these days is like my primary kind of thing. Like everyone watches television, but I tend to watch a lot more YouTube content, a lot more online content. So my brain is kind of hard to wrap around this idea of like, wait, it disappears in 24 hours and I don't get to watch it again.
It is weird. It's non-appointment viewing. It's
right.
Stumble across.
And it's just like that's never been my online watching habit. To usually it's like, oh, it's Tuesday, time to go watch the guys at Let's Play and watch their content there. It's very strange. I think it's cool. Like I think it's going to make for interesting. I'd hope that they utilize the idea of it being this ephemeral and making kind of an interesting storyline. I always thought that could be cool to tell a story. I don't know what their plan is or what they're going to do with it series wise.
I know our plan is it's to gear up.
Yeah. Get ready to have gear in your face as I cover the transition.
Look at these gears. You can't get those at home, can you? Google's chief business officer, Omid Kordestani, updated investors on one interesting metric to Cordkillers during the earnings call last Thursday. 1 billion cast sessions have been initiated on Chromecast. Now, Google defines a cast session as you pressing the cast button, either on Android or iOS or a web app. And it doesn't matter how many videos you stream. As long as you press that cast button, you could stream 1,000 videos. It still counts as one. But compare a billion cast sessions to an October number that GigaOM found, which was 650 million, and a July number they report, which is 400 million. People are using the Chromecast. There's no two ways about it.
That's interesting because I couldn't really wrap my mind around whether or not a billion was a monumental achievement or whether it was less than the number of times Gangnam Style has been played on YouTube. You got
to think about it. It's hard without knowing the user base, right? Which is why they put the number out like this because it sounds really big.
Right.
Yeah.
But it does mean that a billion times somebody sat down to watch something on Chromecast.
Yeah. Well, and again, I mean, the only number that popped into my mind is Scam School is creeping up on 100 million views, and if me and a ragtag team of a few people can be 10% of the way to whatever this announced goal is, it just makes it. I don't know.
It's a billion views. It's 350 million since October, so that would be 11. That'd be like 3 months. That's 116 million views a month. Cast sessions a month, not views.
Yeah, but keep in mind, Google has always picked nutty metrics. They love to advertise the amount of user engaged minutes on YouTube, or So I don't want to say that they're trying to hide the number of Chromecasts that they've sold. It could be that this is just how they measure their own success internally.
What I like about this number in particular is just because of the way Chromecast works, you have to initiate the feed. You have to hit the button either on YouTube or on a web app or whatever. So that means at least 1 billion people said, you know what, I want to watch something right here, right now over Chromecast. And I think that's the interesting concept.
It seems like it's an average of around 3-4 million a day. That's sessions.
And keep in mind that's sessions, and I think that's a weird metric to track. And I get where you're coming from, Brian. The idea of it being is how many people actually watch it, but keeping in mind that with Chromecast, somebody has to hit a button. That button then sends the content over. That means at least 1 billion times someone decided, you know what, I want to watch this over Chromecast.
Yeah, I'm too far on the outside. I can't wrap my mind around it. I can't decide if it's impressive or not. But it is
And
definitely.
it totally knocked off their antenna. We'll talk about that later in the show.
Oh yeah. Wait. Well, actually, that was a different device.
It's both.
Oh, is
I
it?
did some
Okay.
research. Yeah.
All right, okay, good. Well,
That's just a tease ahead. So don't turn this show off.
Man, I'll tell you what, Tom, I feel like you've got a real sense of storytelling and narrative and ebb and flow. Like, you know how to tease the ending and keep me engaged right to the end of Cordkillers. You ought to write books. You ever think about writing books?
Yeah, I do. And then I write them, and I don't like them very much, but I publish them anyway. TomMerrittBooks.com, folks. Watch me fall. No, there's some good things there, too. The Year in Tech History, illustrated by Scott Johnson, is there. It's like all of the Today in Tech History posts that I put up on TomMerritt.com compiled into one book with illustrations provided by the amazing Scott Johnson. It looks great. It's informative. It's going to make you smarter. So you should definitely buy that. And I also write novels, and I'm getting better at them all the time. And if you'd like to sample one and see how well you think I'm doing, you can buy those too.
Heck yeah, dude. Events of a Different Nature by Tom Merritt, starring Tom Merritt's dogs. I love this.
I love it
As
too.
crime fighters.
I love it. It's such the most amazing idea. It's one of the better ones.
Hey, Tom, shall we put on our Kevlar vests and dive into the front lines?
We shall! Once more into the breach.
Front lines!
Netflix will raise $1 billion in debt. That's $1 for every Chromecast session that has ever been started for content acquisition and other purposes. Netflix trying to spin this that they're spending $1 billion on content. They're not. Mostly they're doing it because the interest rates are so low that they want to have low interest debt to cover the next few years of cash needs. But a lot of those cash needs will be content. The company says they expect to launch 320 hours of original content in 2015. That's 3 times the amount of 2014.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about this is I think it's important to remember a time when, and I'm trying to pull up the actual amount.
I'm trying to do the same thing.
Of House of Cards budget. I want to say it was around
God.
$150 million at the time.
Something like that, yeah.
And we thought it was an outrageous gamble, and they bought 2 seasons at once. What were they thinking? What a huge risk. And now, as they've proven that they have the ability to deliver unique, quirky, high-quality content, I think they're coming out ahead. I think this is a big... we'll take an extension on this.
Yeah, definitely take an extension. Tim Lydon on Twitter said, people said at the time greenlighting House of Cards for 2 seasons was a risk.
Yeah.
Now 320 hours.
Well,
now,
and think about this: like $1 billion is what, like 8 House of Cards, like 8 House of Cards size gambles, or a number of smaller gambles.
And we're not even talking about the Adam Sandler's now making his show on Netflix. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline on the Netflix side that having that money to do it can really pull in some bigger Hollywood names and bigger kind of TV stars to make interesting content. And I'm super excited to hear all that.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what, I'm going to jump ahead. I'm going to do the reverse of an extension. I'm going to do a condensation. NBC live streamed 11 hours of Super Bowl and pre-Super Bowl, Super Bowl-related content online yesterday in the United States. Apparently, it reached a peak of 1.3 million simultaneous streams, which perhaps explains the lag. Also, different commercials in the live stream, which means the usual online repetition. Verizon Mobile didn't have as many complaints about its stream. I got a number of people hitting me up on email and Twitter asking, hey, man, why I watched the Super Bowl for the ads. Why aren't they showing the ads? And the short answer is because the advertisers didn't pay for online streams of their ads, and NBC ain't in the business of giving away the one product it sells.
Yeah, I mean, that you can go watch the ads for free. Free, because they're ads, on YouTube or Hulu or lots of other places. NBC wanted to get more money to say, hey, you want to hit our live stream audience? We'll charge you more, which sort of makes sense and sort of doesn't. Like, really, I guess it's more of we're really unsure of the metrics still on live streams, and it's not unified as much as we'd like, so we're going to hedge.
Yeah. Take it away, Tom.
Okay, Sling TV struck an agreement to carry Univision networks on the Sling TV service. That includes Univision, Unimas, Univision Deportes, the sports channel, Galavisión, El Rey Network, Bandamax, De Película Clásico, the film channels, Telehit,
Telenovelas and Foro TV. My guess, along with everybody else, is that this is going to be one of those $5 add-ons. Will be a Spanish language channel.
This is still
Roberto,
huge.
your
This is
name
huge.
ends in an O. What
Yes.
do you think?
This is huge. Just hearing that now, because I didn't even know that's coming down the pipeline. That is huge. Univision is one of the top Spanish-speaking channels here in the States and abroad. It is definitely a big, big grab in general, and especially they're also great soccer coverage too.
That seems to bear out what I've been thinking about Sling TV, which is they're after like, hey, you want to watch SportsCenter? We got something for you. Hey, you just want to have food TV and HGTV on? We got something for you. They're finding those niches who are like, I'd cut the cord, but I can't get my telenovelas. Guess what? Now you can.
Yeah.
Speaking of Adam Sandler's Netflix stuff, Ridiculous Six will be one of Adam Sandler's Netflix productions. Sandler will star as a man who was adopted as an orphan by a Native American tribe. Twilight's Taylor Lautner, Rob Schneider, and Terry Crews will play as adoptive siblings, while Nick Nolte has been cast as Sandler's father, rounding out the ensemble as Whitney Cummings, John Lovitz, Danny Trejo, and Chris Parnell.
I'm going to take an extension.
That's a hell of a cast, actually.
I'm gonna take an extension because I'm curious. When did you think you'd ever see Terry Crews and Rob Schneider in the same project together?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that they're just yin and yang of the same animal.
Only Adam Sandler could bring them together.
All I'm saying is I've never seen the two in the same room at the same time before. You can't convince me until this comes out that they're not the same person. Good deal. Good for you. Enjoy your dollars, Adam Sandler.
All-Star Cast. Woo! ESPN will sell live and on-demand access to the 6-week-long Cricket World Cup for $100. The play starts February 13th. U.S. cricket fans can sign up as early as February 3rd for a subscription at ESPNcricket2015.com and then access streams on the web. ESPN says it will also have iOS and Android apps coming along about 2 days before the Cup starts on February 11th. Dish and Time Warner will also be selling the package as pay-per-view.
It's so funny because as it went through, I was like, $100? And then my next thought was, well, I've seen pay-per-view packages like that. I guess I should think about this as pay-per-view. And then it says also going to be available on pay-per-view. So I guess really this is just a pay-per-view event that they're also allowing over the top.
It's a page out of WWE, right? Mm-hmm. Where they still do pay-per-view WWE, but they also have their own online-only streaming of it. ESPN is using Major League Baseball's advanced media company to stream it. Like, it's exactly that, saying, hey, we don't really need the cable companies anymore. Let's try selling direct to the public, see what happens.
Asian telecom company Singtel is partnering with Sony Pictures and Warner Brothers to launch a streaming video service in Asia. HOOQ, I don't know if that's pronounced or an acronym, HOOQ, will have Hollywood movies and U.S. TV shows along with content from India, China, Thailand, the Philippines, Indonesia, Korea, and Japan. It will go online by the end of March in Indonesia, Philippines, India, and Thailand, and then expand from there. I gotta feel like this is a direct result of them sitting back on the sidelines watching, and I'll take an extension on this since it's our last story, watching Netflix grow its market share globally by adding all of these other countries and realizing, okay, this is an established market. This is an established need that everyone has. We're sitting on a mountain of content. We don't have to rent it out for pennies on the dollar to Netflix. We could just run it all free if we had our own service.
Yeah, it's super smart. I mean, especially in that area, just because it's so underserved and a lot of it's tricky. I'm surprised Netflix couldn't make it there, but even they are doing some interesting things on the billing side of because credit cards aren't as prevalent in certain parts of Asia, that they're doing direct deposit. They're doing all sorts of different types of way of actually paying for the bill that Netflix probably couldn't do at this time.
Well, Netflix has said we're headed there. Like they want to be in all the international markets within the next 5 years, at least all the ones they can. Maybe not North Korea, maybe not even China, but Singtel. I don't know if this is smart. Partner with Sony Pictures and Warner Brothers. Yeah, you're right, Brian. All of a sudden you've got a mountain of content, but then do you have the money and do you have the negotiations to get other content? Or are you stuck with just Sony and Warner Brothers? And does a Netflix come in and undermine you because they have worldwide rights to a lot of things? I don't know.
That's a good point. Like, the question is this going to be a new Netflix or is this going to be another Crackle, right? Where it's like it's all just in their own...
The real question is whether they'll take any regional content and how they'll promote
Oh, yeah.
that.
No. They definitely...
That's going to be their biggest force, I think.
Yeah.
That will be where they win and the other stuff's a garnish. That's a really good point. Yeah.
Hey, man.
All right, let's move on to what's under surveillance.
Not like real estate. It's all about location.
Under surveillance.
This is our segment about things you can watch, as well as things that we are watching. Starting off with some news about things you'll be able to watch. Aziz Ansari has taken his third special direct to Netflix, live at Madison Square Garden. Will be available exclusively on Netflix beginning March 6th.
Man.
You guys like Aziz? He's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. That's amazing to me that a comedian can fill Madison Square Garden. That's an amazing thing. That's awesome. Because I say that just because I remember watching Aziz Ansari before anyone knew his name when he had like a cameo in Flight of the Conchords, like in 2007
Right.
or whatever.
Was he the
To see-
convenience store owner? Was that?
he was the fruit stand owner.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Then they went into singing Mother Uckers and
Yeah.
so good. But it's just amazing to watch. I mean, that all happened in what, 7 or 8 years in the time that before Scam School, like I don't know, I launched Scam School right around the same time that happened, and it's just he certainly has accelerated
Parks and
faster than I am.
Is this all just a part of your like?
Yeah,
It
yes.
says this guy's doing better than me. Oh.
No. I mean, that's just astonishing. I mean, I'm nothing but thrilled for him.
Totally.
It's just cool to watch that.
Also, another comedian who could fill big arenas, Louis C.K., making his comedy special available DRM free online for $5. The comedy store, the special is called Live at the Comedy Store, available at louisck.net.
Right on. Hey, Roberto, what have you been watching?
Well, surprise enough, the last time I came, I did a lot of internet content, and I thought, you know what, let me catch up on that too. I actually been watching on Cartoon Hangover's Bee and Puppy Cat. I actually was part of the Kickstarter to kind of help launch the new season, and it is as crazy as you would imagine it to be.
So, Bee and Puppy Cat is not. It's from the same folks that do Bravest Warriors.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
in no way related to
no,
that
no,
project.
no. It
Okay.
is Federator Media. It is that, but it's no way. I think one of the writers might have been one of the guys working not working on Bravest Warriors, but like a very sub role. I forgot exactly, but it's this bizarre anime-esque kind of thing, and it's just amazing to watch. If you've never watched Bee and Puppy Cat, check that out. I've been catching up on Hacking the System as well, through other
That's a
means.
great show.
It is a great show.
I'm serious. I'm not even saying that just because Brian's on the show. It's a really good show.
That and Mythbusters. That's been basically my watching habits.
Right on. I watched the Mad Dogs pilot, the Amazon original, which we'll discuss in spoiler in time in detail. I watched Marco Polo episode 8 and Hacking the System. The wife caught the flu, so I did a lot of juggling kids over the last week. I haven't had a
I'd
chance
imagine.
to watch as much.
Yeah. I want video of you like literally juggling.
Yeah.
Man.
Next week on Scam School.
I watched all the stuff that I've been watching. The Flash, Agent Carter, which I still believe is underrated. It's great. Arrow is firing on all cylinders. Also Marco Polo and Mad Dogs, which we'll talk about. Spoiler time, The Shield. I saw the movie Theory of Everything, and it's probably my least favorite Oscar-nominated Best Picture.
Really?
It's good. I'm not trashing it, but it's the first time that I didn't watch. I've been watching all the Best Pictures, and every time I'm like, ooh, I think that one might be my favorite now. This is the first time that didn't happen.
Who is your favorite, Tom? I'm not curious. Who are you rooting for?
I don't know, man. There are a lot of really good ones. Boyhood is insane in what it does, and it does it so well. Because if you haven't heard, it was shot over 12 years to follow a boy actually growing up, and the characters, all the characters growing up.
I am all for Birdman.
Birdman is fantastic.
Birdman's
loved it from beginning
phenomenal.
to end. If nothing else, for the single shot.
That's what blew me away the
rope
most.
aspect of it.
I'm putting fingers in ears. I've managed to not find out what Birdman is even about, and I look forward to going in it full on cold, not knowing a damn thing.
And Whiplash is amazing.
J.K. Simmons. It's good to see him finally getting his dues, so to speak, because he's been a phenomenal comedy actor, and obviously, if you're a video game person, you know him as the voice of there on Portal as the CEO of
Oh yeah, and of course his
Cave Johnson.
Incomparable portrayal of J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, that too as well.
And his stunning portrayal of an insurance agent.
Yeah, I really believe that he's teaching all these young insurance adjusters how to get out there and represent farmers insurance.
But that being said, you watching just like clips of Whiplash, and it's like, oh my god, it's phenomenal.
Hey man,
I also watched Clone Wars, the Tartakovsky series.
Yeah, I saw that on your list.
After I finished How Star Wars Conquered the Universe, I was inspired to go watch it, which now makes me want to go reread those passages now that I've actually seen it. But incredible. Like, it totally ties together the prequels in ways that I didn't think about them before.
Yeah, no, that was one of the better pieces of animation coming out of that guy, and specifically out of Star Wars, because that was like the good one, and then like they came out with the other Clone War kind of thing, and that was the kind of thing, and so I was cool to see that on your list of stuff you watched finally.
Well, shall we move on to the movie draft, Brian?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's officially over, right? Didn't we wrap it up last week?
Yeah. I mean, I guess we have to wait 4 weeks for Mordecai to bring in the other million.
Yeah. No, I think it's officially declared one of the shockingest movie drafts we've ever had. It's unbelievable. As a matter of fact, to celebrate the precognitive powers of our own Nostradamus, we're going to have Mulango on the show. By the way, who has his own show? I didn't know. And also I found out watching a show that is Mulango, not Mulango.
Wait a minute. Don't we happen to have the guy here who won the draft officially?
Yeah, no, he's downstairs talking to my wife. We'll see if we can get Brett.
Wins the movie draft and then starts talking to your wife, huh?
Yeah, he shows up at my house.
That's how it works. He's come to collect the prize.
Typical Brett.
Typical Brett Rounceville. No, seriously, congratulations to Brett Rounceville. And to celebrate his victory in the winter movie draft, you should all go download Mission Pick from the iOS App Store.
Totally.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to talk about it when we take our dispatches from the front.
Let's do some dispatches, and let's do them from the front, not the back.
Hey, so I don't know if you remember, one of the things we talked about last episode was whether or not we want to split out Spoiler in Time to its own feed, and the votes are in. Here are some highly controversial responses. Hi, Tom and Brian. From this fan's perspective, I say split the feed. Keep up the good work, Sean. I'm firmly in the it doesn't matter to me camp so long as you let us know about it. I use Beyond Pod for my podcatcher and have a smart playlist that I can control what order things play in, so I always get them in the aired order. Matt says, I vote to split the Spoiler in Time episodes to their own podcast. In addition to the reasons Brian mentioned on the show, the main podcast is much more time sensitive, so I need to keep those in my stream. I can always go back and listen to Spoiler in Time when I finally watch the shows you are spoilering. Love the show, blah, 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 blah. By the way, 100%. Not one vote for keep it all in the same feed.
I think I saw one person on Twitter said they would prefer they not be split.
I did get one email from someone say, why not do 3 feeds?
Yeah.
So
here's the thing. Some of you, the silent majority, the Spiro Agnews of the world, may be out there saying, well, wait a minute. So we'll give it one. What do you think, Brian? I think we should give it one more week for the backlash.
Yes.
Or see if there is one. Maybe there won't.
Here's what we'll do. We're going to warm you into it. We'll give it. Well, I say 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We're going to start warning you now. We'll set up the feed, and then so sometime during this week we'll get the feed up. We'll tweet about it. We'll remind you next Monday to sign up for it, and then the moment you hear it, you pull it out and you sign up for it right there, and you're good. Here's some late breaking news, Tom Merritt. As you know, my biggest concern was I wanted to, especially as we launched a new show, I didn't want to confuse people by having 2 feeds for 2 different programs. You mentioned that now if we're going to have Spoiler in Time be its own feed, that it kind of is becoming its own show, which is totally rad. In my heart, I was like, what compelling content will cause people to instantly make sure to sign up for the other feed? And I just got a text message from one of the stars of Mad Dogs asking if he could join us by Skype during our discussion of Mad Dogs. Romany Malco is setting up his computer right now so he can Skype in and chat with us during Spoiler in Time. So there's going to be lots of good stuff in there.
Excellent.
So
that's fantastic.
Make sure, so let's burn through these other letters. We might be able to end on time.
I shortened this one down from Josh S. He works for a major retailer and helps consult on GoGo, the aircraft Wi-Fi that Brian was complaining about. Hey, why can't I stream the videos when I'm on the airplane? He said the in-flight Wi-Fi is provided by Aircell, parent company to GoGo. Aircell was set up originally to provide telephone service, so they're kind of kludging this in a very large and complicated way. Each tower they have is fed by a single T1. Some maybe have 3 T1s. Then on top of that, the actual bandwidth provided to each aircraft is also limited at most 3 megabits per second to a single aircraft. So you don't even know what a T1 is. All you have to know is there's not much getting to the aircraft in the first place. Then that 3 megabits per second is shared between all the users on the plane. So Josh S. says, what I'm trying to say to Brian is that, yes, you'd think we'd be able to have 100 megabit per second or even a gigabit connection while in the sky. GoGo isn't artificially keeping it slow and preventing users from doing YouTube and Netflix while using the in-flight Wi-Fi. How would you feel if you paid to use the service and one user was hogging all the available bandwidth because he was streaming a movie and you couldn't even get a web page?
Let's just say it's amazing that we have Wi-Fi in the air. Let's first, let's take a page out of Louis C.K.'s book and just say how amazing that is.
It's amazing
already.
that we're in the air.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, look, that's a fine argument to have. Tell me how it works out when you try to use that argument on anyone howling about net neutrality. Tell me how it works to be like, hey, man, isn't it amazing that you can even get on the internet?
Fair enough.
It's like, look, and by the way,
but do you understand why they have to limit the
absolutely,
streaming video now?
Yes, absolutely, and I think you did a fantastic job of explaining it. I got to learn something new about the fact that they're actually that they're talking to the towers down below.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. I didn't know if it was satellite-based or what.
I left it out of the email, but he did talk about how they are definitely working toward providing higher bandwidth all the time.
Yeah. Mitch says, hey, team, freaking love the show. Proud to be a patron. Thanks for all your hard work. I thought I'd throw out a hiccup I've discovered with my Fire TV stick. When I plug it into my television, I lose all of my over-the-air signal. When I unplug the stick from the TV, the signal comes back. My antenna is mounted outside the house and connected using the home's existing cable. Could be Wi-Fi interference. Could be the age of my TV. Just curious if anyone else had this issue or just posting a possible solution for other cord killers. I have the reverse problem. I don't know what it is. It shows full signal to the Wi-Fi to either of the two routers in the house, but it works great for about 2 minutes and then hiccups and then just says, you have bad signal. You're not really connected to the internet. I had to stop the video. And you have to wait like 4 minutes for it to connect, and it keeps dropping out. And I was wondering if this was a known issue if he had that as well.
I don't know. I didn't look up your issue because I didn't know about it. That might be a separate issue. It could be the distance to the Wi-Fi router. I know my Chromecast had some issues when I had my router on the other side of the house, and when I moved it closer, they went away. So it may just be the range is not as good.
Yeah,
for the
I mean
Chromecast.
it's less than a room away, but
maybe there's something in between. Maybe somebody's running a microwave over your house all the time. I don't know. There's all kinds of reasons.
Lead paint.
What I did look up though was that Mitch, his Fire TV stick and over-the-air television issues are not unheard of. In fact, a lot of people are having this, including Chromecast users. One guy on the Amazon forums went and got a 6-foot HDMI cable and moved the Fire Stick 6 feet away from the TV into a cabinet, and that worked for him. It's basically that these sticks, both the Fire TV and the Chromecast, seem to be putting out interference that will interfere with the over-the-air antenna signal. So they said, really, what you need to do is make sure that you're insulated and that your connection is really tight. And you know what's funny is yesterday during the Super Bowl, I was watching over the air, and suddenly it started to get a little choppy. So I just went and I just checked to make sure that it hadn't gotten loose, and it was a little loose, so I tightened it. It went away. Now I'm wondering if it isn't my Fire TV or my Chromecast that was causing that.
Well, and actually, one of the ideas that I had, because I had both the Fire TV and the Chromecast plugged in, is I removed the Chromecast, and for a while I thought I had totally fixed it because the number of interference moments went down, and it seemed to be happy with my Wi-Fi.
Okay.
That could totally be your issue, is that you have too many different Wi-Fi emissions happening at the same time, and your router is not handling them well.
You just have too much stuff, Brian.
And do we know if it's still at work? Some says 2.4 gigahertz is a pretty crowded range. That's also definitely microwave territory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Microwave knocks out one of my routers, not the other one, because the other one's 5 gigahertz. So you could try flipping the bandwidth on your router or getting a new router that can do 5.
Well, I'm almost certain these could do 5. They're top of the line Asus routers that I bought within the last year.
Does the Amazon Fire Stick do 5 gigahertz?
Yeah, I mean that may be the issue. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll take a look at it. To be honest, I'm going to try extending it and setting it farther away.
And the other
from
thing
the TV.
is that the Fire TV and the Chromecast, which you're right, Roberto, they might not do 5. they shouldn't be interfering with over-the-air broadcast because they are in the 2 gigahertz range.
Right.
So they're dirty. If this is actually a problem, which it does seem like it is from my looking around on posts, enough people have it, they may not be properly shielding their emissions.
Well, and you know what else it might be is I'm drawing power through the USB on my television, and it could be that it's the drawing power of the USB. Who knows? One last message from Franklin says, "Hello, Tom and Brian. On a previous episode, you guys were talking a bit about Plex. Listen, Plex is fantastic, not just great, but excellent. Tom brought up a good point, and there was that his DRM purchase content wouldn't play. The reason Plex is so popular is in part, yes, because you can have all your rip your own content, home videos, DVD, Blu-rays, rip movies, TV shows, etc. The other reason Plex is so popular is because it provides an easy and convenient way to stream and access all your pirated content."
Yes, we know.
I know you guys. I know you guys do not support piracy, but let's not close our eyes to it. Obviously, the reason Plex is so widely loved is because a large portion of its users pirate content and use Plex as their media server. I'm not saying that's all they do. They probably have home movies, ripped content, etc. But let's also not pretend that the reason Plex has become so popular is any other than the massive love of its piracy-loving users. Keep up the great show. Do you think that's accurate, Tom? Do you think that's an unfair?
That's what I feel like. Maybe I haven't been expressing myself well because that's what I feel like I've been saying forever. All right, and maybe I was too subtle.
I mean, certainly
everybody who says, "Hey, Plex is great," and when I say, "Yeah, Plex is great for un-DRM'd content," I don't have any of that because I can't legally get it. And the only way I can get it is by ripping DVDs, which usually are encrypted, even though they're very weakly encrypted, which means if I'm ripping them, I'm actually circumventing the DMCA, which is breaking the law. My whole point on this is, yeah, guys, Plex is great, but there's no legal way to really take the best advantage of it. And so Franklin's just making that point more clearly than I've been making it, I guess.
Tom, there is DRM-free content out there. Like anything off of VHX is DRM-free. Any kind of independent movie content usually is DRM-free.
No, but I'm just saying that's not what most people are using.
No, I know. I'm not saying that that's the case, but just saying, there is.
That's like saying you can use the Pirate Bay for Linux ISOs, which you totally can.
Right, and I think, but that's an important thing just to
now,
stress.
If you're starting to steer this towards like should Plex be illegal or something like that, absolutely right. The nature of the technology does not cause its use.
Okay.
It can be used for perfectly legal things. So I'm not saying Plex is questionable in any way. But when people talk about like, you should use it, I'm like, well, I can't really use it for anything that I have.
Right, exactly. You can't use it for the content you watch. And I think that's important to state that because while I agree with you, there probably are a bunch of users who use Plex to watch their pirated stuff. I use Plex a lot to watch a lot of my DRM-free things and stuff like that. I tend to watch a lot more of that. But I totally understand.
No, I'm addressing Franklin's point, which he's saying,
exactly.
like, yeah, but the reason it's really popular is because of the pirates.
Right, and I didn't want to express that it's popular because it's a good piece of software versus the pirates.
Yes and no. I mean, I'm glad that you're using it for a legal example because that gives us a really good example that I can use in the future is like, hey, Roberto's got DRM-free legit content that he uses to watch it. I think you're in the minority.
No, I know that. But I want to make sure that I state that because it's always that always seems to be the thing that gets glossed over a lot is that there is legal DRM-free content out there that is pretty amazing as well.
Right on, man.
Is the end of this legal DRM-free episode of Cordkillers.
See, like this.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed it on your Plex or any other device.
Do.
Or to be honest, we hope you watched it when you wanted, where you wanted, on whatever dang device you cared about.
You can find us at cordkillers.com, where we make all of our episodes available. We will not bring them to your house. That is there is a line to watch what you want. Like if you're like, the way I want to watch Cordkillers is for Tom and Brian to bring a burned DVD to my house and put it in my DVD player. We won't do that.
Yeah, but let's not go. I mean, if you hit a certain level of patronage, I think we can work that out.
I guess if it covered our costs, right?
Yeah. Hey, real quick before we go, Roberto, where can we see more of you?
Oh, it's easy. Just find me on Twitter at Vincent404 or head to my kind of content website, cosmicradio.tv.
Right on. Thank you so much for joining us. And we mentioned write in at cordkillers@gmail.com. Catch us live. When are we live, Tom?
We are live right now, which is 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern time on Mondays.
Fan Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.